now it's time for Lefties Losing It. And brace yourselves because I'm about to bring you Kamala like you've never heard her before. You think you've heard all her different accents? Oh no. No, you ain't heard nothing yet. But first, let's start with a thoroughly kooky Walz family. There's Tim Walz, who wants to be vice president and has become friends with school shooters.
I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it.
But that Fruit Loop is almost normal when compared to Gwen Walz. Here she explains the relationship between tampons in restrooms and reading ability.
You know, if kids are hungry in school, what that does to brain and learning, you're not going to learn to read. So if you're talking about learning to read and closing gaps, then you better take away the barriers for that. If that's tampons, then that's tampons.
Okay, so that's why Tim Walz, or Tampon Tim as Donald Trump calls him, put tampons in boys' restrooms in schools across Minnesota. It all makes sense now. It's because they were hungry and they weren't reading and tampons. Here, Gwen tells us about her first date with Tim, where she rejected his advances, saying she didn't kiss on the first date. His response was to mock her, tell her to get out of his car, and then not call her for 3 days, despite saying he was going to marry her. Sounds like a keeper, Gwen.
It was my policy. So he looked at me like, really? And then he said, well, all right then, because I'm going to marry you. Now get out of my car.
That's so funny.
Yeah, isn't it? I mean, I like looked at him and then he didn't call me for 3 days.
Did you see Katie Couric laughing and carrying on like this was the most romantic story she'd ever heard? Okay, let's get to Kamala Harris. Her campaign is faltering. She's losing men. She's already lost the sane women. The Hispanic vote is abandoning her, and there ain't much joy left in the campaign.
Should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again. Never again. Never again.
Oh, so much joy. Just feel that joy. Reminds me of something.
Blood alone moves the wheels of history.
Kamala seems to even be copying Dwight's fashion choices. The colours are very similar indeed. And she must have thought that speech went really well because she's done it more than once. Here she is doing the same rant word for word in Atlanta. Get ready for more joy.
Should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States of America. Never again.
Oh dear. Now, Kamala is losing an increasing number of black voters, so of course she thought she better patronise them by trying on her urban black accent again. Here she's just warming up. It gets better.
Well, Georgia, in 12 days is Donald Trump's turn.
But she took things to new levels of derangement, new levels of inauthenticity in Philadelphia when she gave us this performance.
Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
It's too much. Incredible stuff. Incredible. In fact, that may even top Hillary Clinton's fake black accent.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
How insulting. And if you really want insulting, then get this from Michelle Obama berating Americans for not backing the mediocre, incompetent, far-left radical Democrat.
I got to ask myself, well, why on earth is this race even close? I lay awake at night wondering what in the world is going on. And it's clear to me that the question isn't whether Kamala is ready for this moment, because by every measure, she has demonstrated that she's ready. The real question is, as a country, are we ready for this moment?
You know, this Democrats' campaign is so toxic, it's even making a joke of former legends, like former legend of rock, Bruce Springsteen. Look what's become of him.
Well, I'm just about starving tonight. I'm dying for some action. I'm sick of sitting around here trying to write this book. I need a love reaction. Come on now, baby, give me just one look. You can't start a fire sitting around crying over a broken heart.
Oh, that was painful, and it got worse. Now, the Democrats' propaganda arm is also looking increasingly unhinged. Here is Jake Tapper of CNN claiming that his network didn't incessantly push the Russian collusion hoax. Watch this exchange with JD Vance.
You guys talked about the Russia hoax nonstop.
The FBI was investigating it. The FBI was investigating it, and so we covered them.
And so you took the words of unnamed FBI agents and put them on your network as if they were the gospel truth. You did it again and again. A viewer of your network would have believed that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin conspired in 2016.
No.
That was totally and preposterously false.
No.
Well, that's
what you just said is false.
He says no, but that is precisely what CNN did, including old mate Jake. Here's just a little reminder of Jake pushing Russia hysteria.
President Trump has gone to, quote, extraordinary lengths to keep specifics about his meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin secret, even keeping them from top members of his own administration. Take a listen to how President Trump responded Saturday night when asked directly if he has ever worked for Russia.
I think it's the most insulting thing I've ever been asked. I think it's the most insulting article I've ever had written.
The president did not directly answer the question. It's a stunning turn of events. Do you think the president of the United States ever worked on behalf of the Russians against American interests?
Joining me now for more Lefties Losing It content is comedian, host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV. Alex, what did you make of the Trump rally today at Madison Square Garden? It had everything. It had Dr. Phil, Elon Musk, Melania spoke. And I've got to say, Trump was in superb form, and he took the opportunity to announce a brand new policy during his speech. Let's have a listen.
I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right? They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much.
It's a fantastic policy, Alex. It's about family, keeping families together. It's about supporting those who support their loved ones.
Oh, it's a great policy. And, you know, this rally was great, but my favorite part was seeing AOC and Tim Walz react to Tony Hinchcliffe's jokes about Puerto Rico. So I just love that Donald's keeping his edge. You know, he's staying edgy, having this rally at Madison Square Garden that they're calling a Nazi rally. It's absolutely disgusting that they label it that. But I think that this was a very monumental and powerful event. And it was awesome to watch it on Twitter and X, excuse me.
Some absolutely disgusting commentary from Walz down about comparing this to a Nazi rally. I personally know a number of Jewish New Yorkers who were there, and they would be absolutely disgusted by that sort of talk. Now, Tucker Carlson, your biological stepdad, also took to the stage, and he had this to say.
They spent 10 years telling you Trump is a hater. Do you feel that on him? No, you don't. Because it's not there. I've spent a lot of time with Trump. And there's not one moment I've ever been with him off camera where he's spending his time grousing about people he hates. Ever. He's talking about the people and the country he loves in his private time. Trust me. And people know in a country that has been taken over by a leadership class that actually despises them and their values and their history and their culture and their customs, really hates them to the point that it's trying to replace them. They know someone who actually has affection for them, and that's Donald Trump.
And it's so right. It's basically what we just talked about. That they're showing their disdain for these people, their hate of ordinary Americans by comparing this rally to a Nazi rally. And you mentioned comic Tony Hinchcliffe. He joked about that.
The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party. Hillary Clinton said that this is a Nazi rally here today. Can you believe that? For the most anti-war president of my entire lifetime, and she calls him Hitler. Let me remind you, Hillary, it was your husband who shot innocent people, or as he called them, interns. Yeah, Hillary, I bet you did not see that one coming. By the way, if I commit in 3 weeks, I didn't.
I love that Arkansas joke at the end there. This is something Joe Rogan spoke about with Donald Trump, that it's the right now, it's the Republicans, the conservatives who are the rebels. They're the cool kids. The conformists are all on the left.
No, you're exactly right. And, you know, you saw that first clip of the Joe Rogan and Donald Trump podcast was Joe talking about how everybody on The View used to love Donald Trump and every celebrity loved Donald Trump. He had the #1 show, The Apprentice, that was on NBC. So it's all fake that they now hate him. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Tony Hinchcliffe killed it. These celebrities that showed up, my biological stepfather, Tucker Carlson. I mean, I really hope that this actually does have an effect, because I think if they're playing fair, Rita, America is on Donald Trump's side.
Well, you were at the Harris-Walz campaign launch, which was huge. It wasn't a launch, sorry. It was a rally in Houston. The numbers there were enormous. I heard 30,000 people showed up. But were they there to see Kamala? Were they there to see Beyonce? You posted this video.
The Kamala Harris rally in Houston, Texas was absolutely insane. You saw Beyonce and Kelly Rowland walked out. Kelly looked like Beetlejuice, and then after that, Kamala walks out, right? She gives him the hug, and everybody's so mad because they're like, what? Beyonce only spoke for 3 minutes? I thought we were going to get a free concert. Wait, what? What's going on? Wait, why is she hugging Kamala? I thought this was a concert. Oh, and then Kelly and Beyonce have a nice little moment, you know, reminiscing. And then everybody realizes it was a bait and switch, and they walked their butts out. As soon as Kamala got on that dang stage, everybody was off, rightfully so. They duped us. They duped the entire city of Houston, Texas. 30,000 off people right before an election less than 2 weeks away. What is Kamala Harris thinking? It was a night to forget, I'll tell you that much.
These are desperate tactics, Alex. Tell me about the mood at the rally. Some people had lined up for hours to get into the venue. But again, was that to see Harris, or were they expecting a free Beyonce concert?
100%. Everybody was under the impression that Beyonce was going to do some sort of performance. And people were literally lining up since 3 p.m. in the Texas heat, just queuing all day until they finally opened the gates around 5 p.m. And then it took them a long time to check everybody in. And what was so sad is not only did you see a lot of African-Americans, you know, a lot of LGBTQ people, but you saw a lot of children that were so excited to see Beyonce. I mean, these kids are like, oh, I've never been to a Beyonce concert. People with their daughters, their cousins, and these kids, when they realized that Beyonce was not performing, you could just see the devastation on their face. The Kamala Harris campaign should be absolutely embarrassed that they would even do this sort of bait and switch operation and just ruin all of the good vibrational energy that they created when the event started, for it to just be a massive letdown. The energy was absolute, like I've never seen anything. Like your team lost the Super Bowl is how I would describe it, Rita. Everybody was very sad.
And let's have a look at some of the scenes outside. Not much joy here. Look at this Democrat, Kamala fan, screaming at a toddler in a stroller. is going on there? People seem to be completely losing their minds.
People were literally losing their minds. And you notice in that video is another kid getting attacked. Like these poor children, those are the ones that, even though it was the most boring rally, I wanted to walk out. I mean, it just went droned on and on and on. I still felt bad for these poor kids being subjected to this. It was like some sort of cruel, unusual punishment is how I would describe this rally.
We've got the celebrities continuing to come out to support Kamala. You mentioned Beyonce and Kelly Rowlands at that rally. We've had Leonardo DiCaprio do a bit of a rant about climate change. Do you think any of that's going to have an impact?
I mean, I do a little bit, but I would say that a lot of the people at that rally aren't even going to vote. At least of the 30,000 people that were at the Houston stadium, I would say probably a third of them are actually going to go vote. So I don't know. People in Pennsylvania, they need to go vote for Donald Trump because Donald Trump wants to actually, start fracking and make some money. So I don't know, Rita. I'm nervous. The people are behind Donald Trump. The energy compared to New York City and Houston, trust me, it looked a lot better and more organized in New York City. So I think the country is on Donald Trump's side. But if they can, pull some funny business somewhere, somehow fortify it, you just never know. It's going to be a tight race.
Well, you would hope it would. The margin would be too big to fortify, as we like to call it. Now, sticking with celebrities going on rants, the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, the basketball team, Greg Popovich, has launched into a anti-Trump rant that's been described as deranged. It went on for some time. This is during a pre-game press conference. Let's just have a listen to a little bit of it.
So he's pathetic. He's small. He's a whiner. We all know that. But you wouldn't have him babysit your kids. You wouldn't hire him if you had a small business. You want that man in your business? There's no way. But we're going to vote for him for president?
I'd be quite happy for him to babysit my kids. What do you make of that? And why do they continue to do this? He coaches San Antonio Spurs. They're a Texas team. Do they not have any fear of alienating the majority of their fans?
Well, Greg Popovich has won so many championships that I don't think he's worried about his job security. And it's weird that Greg Popovich, one of the top NBA coaches, and Steve Kerr, one of the top NBA coaches, are so woke and just constantly lecturing their audience, their press conferences. When it has to do with basketball, they're always, when it's a basketball press conference, they want to talk and inject their politics. And they just have Trump derangement syndrome so badly. You would think that these multimillionaires, Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich, would respect somebody like Donald Trump that might give them tax breaks. But I don't know. They all like to virtue signal, I guess, and they have a lot of guilt. And it stinks because he's such a great coach, Rita. Greg Popovich is really respected in the state of Texas.
Well, I'm not talking about him losing his job, obviously, but surely he must know that he's alienating, or at the very least upsetting, a significant portion of his fans, the fans of the Spurs. And why would you do that? Why would you go on these mad rants? What is the purpose? It's bewildering to me why there's just so little respect for what their fans think. Vote how you want, but don't lecture people and go on these. Really, he didn't say anything constructive there. It was just hate. Before you go, I just want to play you a little clip of Kamala Harris being heckled at a rally in Michigan. What's interesting about it is just how poorly she handled it. Have a look.
To turn the page on the fear
She looked frightened there. She was looking off stage, I don't know, looking for advice. I'm just shocked that she handled something so routine so poorly.
She's too fragile to handle that situation, and Kamala Harris is too fragile to be vice president of the United States, or even president for that matter, if she wins somehow. So she's just a snowflake, like everybody else in their party.
Alex Stein, thanks for your time tonight.